The middle stages of evolutionary lines often get overlooked, so this series plans to change that, and we're starting with Poliwhirl. I think Poliwhirl's going to get us off to a very strong start in this series. We've got fairly good base stats across the board, but we have incredibly good speed, and the speed stat is imperative in a solo Pokemon run. And for this series, there are going to be 25 eligible Pokemon, and that accounts for all of the mid-stage evolutions in Generation 2, except for Kakuna and Metapod. Those two Pokemon are going to be part of a special video where we're going to be running a bunch of Pokemon together in one challenge who don't have attacking moves on their level up learn set. So that's going to be Pokemon like Wobbuffet and Ditto as well as Kakuna and Metapod, and we'll see just how well they fare together. But for now, let's take a look at our stats, and we're level 5 with 22 HP. Holding a berry, and our moves are Bubble, Hypnosis and Water Gun. 12 in attack, 13 in defense, 11 in the specials, and 15 in speed. So let's now get the graphics up and our challenge underway. As always, I'll show you the very first encounter with a wild Pokemon, and in this instance, it's a level 2 Rattata. We use Water Gun, and it's going to be a 2-shot, and that means we can start heading towards our first rival battle together. The rival is of course going to have the Chikorita line in this challenge. We're running a Water type, and that means we're going to have the big threat at Rival 2. Chikorita at Rival 1 really is just a case of trying to get through it as quickly as we can. We send it to sleep and then we just start water gunning all over it. Now this isn't a particularly clean or quick battle, but we do get through without too much damage at all. And after drowning Chikorita in many water guns, we do eventually knock it out. We grow to level 8 and we get through the first rival battle. That means we can head over to Violet City where Falkner's waiting for us. He's our first gym leader together, a flying type specialist who leads with Pidgey. It's 2 shots with Water Gun on the Pidgey as we grow up to 12, and then we'll do the same against the Pidgeotto. This time it's 4 shots instead of 2 shots to knock it out, but it's still a very simple battle. And we get through Falconer in a time of 5 minutes and 8 seconds without Sprout Tower. Second up is of course going to be Bugsy. They're the bug-type specialist who leads with Metapod. Now Metapod's going to be very simple. It's going to be a 2-shot with Water Gun with Harden doing absolutely nothing at all. Kakuna comes out to play and Poison Sting doesn't poison us, and that means we are on to Scyther. Water Gun doesn't do nearly as much against Scyther, but Fury Cutter takes time to build, and because we outspeed it means Fury Cutter doesn't get that extra turn to build, and we defeat Bugsy to obtain the Hive Badge in a time of 9 minutes and 48 seconds. Let's now move on to Rival 2. And overconfidence comes into play with Rival 2 because I decided to skip going to the Pokemon Center to save a little bit of time. Unfortunately for us though, Ghastly has Spite, and because it saw that we were under 5 PP, it used Spite and knocked out our Water Gun PP. So we're going to have to use Bubble instead against the Ghastly on turn 1. Water Gun will knock it out on turn 2, and now we're on to Bayleaf. Our only chance for the Bayleaf is to send it to sleep and then slap it many times. Double Slap is a terrible move, but it's the only thing that's going to run neutral. Fortunately for us, this Bayleaf loves taking a very long nap, and we can finish it off with a Bubble. That just leaves Zubat left to go. That's going to be nice and simple after the Bayleaf. Even a Supersonic's not going to stop us, we knock it out in 2 hits, and we are through the second rival battle in just over 11 minutes 20 seconds. So let's now take a trip to Goldenrod City where Whitney's waiting for us. She's our third gym leader together, a normal type specialist who leads with Clefairy. We've got Headbutt and Ice Punch's new moves on our learn set, and they're already coming in clutch. We've flinched the cow several times and she gets caught in a bit of a milk drink loop, but for us all we care about is keeping on using Headbutt until we knock her out, and we obtain our next badge in a time of 16 minutes and 14 seconds. I tell you what, we're off to a very good start here. Let's now move into the Burnt Tower, where we're going to face the rival for a 3rd time. This one's going to be a much more trivial affair because we've got Surf in place of Water Gun now, and we also have Ice Punch for the Bayleaf. It's a 1-shot to start off with on both Haunter and Magnemite. Bayleaf comes out to play. Ice Punch critical hits to guarantee the 1-shot, and we'll continue Ice Punching against Zubat as well. A very simple 3rd rival battle, which means we'll fall through the floor, and we'll end up in front of Morty. Morty is our 4th gym leader, a dual Ghost and Poison type spectacular leader, and he's going to lead with Ghastly. We've got Surf, so this should be a very simple affair once again. Surf 1-shots the Ghastly in the first Haunter, we grow to level 31, and Gengar comes out to play. It's a critical hit on the Gengar, that just leaves 1 Haunter water left. Spite does absolutely nothing at all, and we can save the Minceberry for our next gym battle with Chuck. He's our 5th leader together. He is of course a fighting type specialist who leads with Primeape. Now Chuck's a fairly tricky battle, especially because we've done quick critique here. That means we haven't gone to the Lake of Rage to pick up hidden power, and Body Slam doesn't do anywhere near as much as I was expecting. However, we break through the confusion of Dynamic Punch to finish it off with an Ice Punch, and that's Chuck defeated in 26 minutes and 52 seconds. Up next is Jasmine, and she is probably the gym leader where I make the biggest misplay of this challenge. We're fine against the 2 Magnemite, Surf will knock them out in one shot apiece. But then we didn't factor in Sunny Day on the Steelix. I thought I was being really smart here doing Ice Punch first so that we could finish it off with Surf, but as it turns out that was definitely a misplay because of Sunny Day. We still get through fairly quickly though without taking much damage, and that's the Mineral Badge in 28 minutes and 43 seconds. We deal with the faff at the Lake of Rage and we end up in front of Price. He's our penultimate Johtonian gym leader who leads with Seal. We'll use Body Slam on Seal twice to knock it out in 2 shots, and then we're on to Dugong. If we high roll, it would be a 2-shot against the Dugong, but we low roll and he gets caught in a rest loop. And that means this battle takes about 10 seconds longer than it otherwise would have done. 3 Body Slams is all it takes to knock out the Dugong though, and we'll one-shot the Pie the Swine with Surf. We grow to level 40 and that's the Glacier Badge in 35 minutes exactly. Our next destination is going to be in the underground of the Goldenrod department store, where we're going to face the rival for a 4th and penultimate time. This time he's going to lead with Golbat, so we're going to start off with an Ice Punch. We do a lot of damage and he doesn't confuse us. We grow to level 43, and now we get the move that's going to win the entire challenge for us. We get Belly Drum, will replace Hypnosis with it, and that means we now have a way to max out our attack whenever we want. That's going to be game changing for the Poliwhirl run. We'll get through Meganium, we are on to Haunter next. Surf takes care of it in one shot. Sneasel's the last Pokemon, we might as well continue surfing. He screeches, but it's all over for him now. We defeat him in a time of 41 minutes and 39 seconds, and we can move on to our final gym leader together. This is Claire. She is of course the Dragon-type specialist who leads with Dragonair. Now there are a couple of ways we could have done Claire. We could either Belly Drum straight off the start, or we could do the Ice Punch method. In theory, if we high roll, the Ice Punch method is quicker. However, we do 2-shot one of the Dragonair. However, when the Kingdra comes into play, we're absolutely going to be belly drumming. It's going to give us the best chance of getting through in one shot. Return is going to do massive damage. We grow to level 49 and we defeat Claire to obtain her badge in 50 minutes and 35 seconds. And with all 8 Johtonian gym badges acquired, we can now head towards Victory Road, where we're going to see the rival for one last time. This time he leads with Sneasel, we're going to use Return, and we take it down in one shot. Magneton comes out to play, we'll use Surf to take advantage of its low special defense. And here comes his starter, who cannot catch a break this challenge as we get another critical hit. Will Ice Punch Golbat take it deep into the red? He doesn't confuse us once more, and that just leaves Haunter and Kadabra left to go. We'll Surf on the Haunter, we'll grow to 51 and decline Hydro Pump, and then we'll use Return against the Kadabra, knock it out in one shot. We say goodbye to the rival in 54 minutes and 10 seconds. Sub 1 hour league is definitely possible here, and we're going to risk it for a biscuit by not going for a heal. Instead, we're going to go straight to saying thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and merci to Paris. You've all been a great help in the Johto region. Get yourselves some well-deserved rest. And now we'll look at our stats going into the league. And we're level 51 with 149 HP, holding the Scamulet coin with Return, Belly Drum, Ice Punch and Surf, 107 in attack, 105 in defense, 92 in the specials, and 128 in speed. Those are, of course, the outer battle stats. We'll get a big buff in battle now, as we'll see against Will. He's our first league member together. He's a Psychic-type specialist who leads with Xatu. We're going to do the belly drum strategies here, and we're holding the Bitterberry just in case of confusion. He takes us down to 13 HP because he goes for Psychic, but I don't think there's anything that's not going to get one shot with Return. Belly Drum is all about the high risk but high reward. You chop your HP in half, but you get a huge boost to your physical attack, and it paid off here against Will. It's a clean sweep, and we get through in 55 minutes and 20 seconds. Second up is Koga. He's a poison-type specialist who leads with Ariados, and once again we'll use the same technique. There's no sense in doing anything else because it won't get us through anywhere near as quickly. The only Pokemon where we'll diverge from the belly drum strategy is Fortress. We'll use 2 Surfs just to guarantee we knock it out without it going boom. We'll go back to Return for the Muck, and we'll finish off Crobat as well with Return. We outspeed the Crobat, which is very nice to see, and Koga's done in 55.59. Let's move on to Bruno. Once again, no issues at all here. This Hitmontop is just an excuse for a free turn of setup, and then once again we'll get to sweeping. Just like we had in the Koga battle, there is going to be one Pokemon where we'll diverge, and that's going to be the Onix. Onix has very high physical defense, but it's 4 times weak to Surf, so it's not like it can do anything anyway. We'll knock out the other 4 first, and then out comes Onix, we swap to Surf, and we defeat Bruno incredibly quickly in 56 minutes and 37 seconds. Our final league member is Karen. She is a Dark-type specialist who leads with Umbreon. We are going for the HP up strategy and it works perfectly, and that means it's going to be yet another clean sweep. I kind of feel bad for Poliwhirl because it's not the most interesting strategy in the world, but it is the way that's going to get us through a lot of these battles in the quickest possible time, and that is of course what this series is all about. We are trying our absolute best to get through to Red in the fastest time possible. Karen was very easy, of course, with Belly Drum, and now we've got to throw the dice a little bit with Lance. 3 of the 4 moves that Gyarados has will be absolutely fine, but Hyper Beam really will throw a spanner into the works. We're going to set up the Belly Drum as normal, and Hyper Beam hits. That means I'm going to take a reset. Sometimes it's best to just play it safe and take the reset, even though you didn't get knocked out. This time Gyarados goes for Flail, and that is our big cue to just go and try and sweep. It's a one-shot on Gyarados, it's a one-shot on the first Dragonite. Dragonite number 2 comes out, it's another one-shot, and because he's the Water type, he's going to send out his level 53rd. We crit and absolutely guarantee the one-shot, and now it's Charizard and Aerodactyl left to go. I took the reset because I wasn't sure about one-shotting Aerodactyl. Didn't need to worry after all of that. Surf was capable of taking it out in 1, and we are through Lance in 58 minutes and 33 seconds. And that gives us our final Hall of Fame time of 58 minutes and 49 seconds. Poliwhirl has had an exceptional run so far, but this is only half the story. We've got another 8 gym badges plus the red fight left to come, so don't you dare go anywhere. Kanto is next. And we rejoin the action here in Vermilion City, where we're going to go into the Pokemon fan club and we'll have a little chat with the chairman. He's going to give us a rare candy, one of very few we're picking up on this challenge. And now in a deviation to our standard Cantonian routing, we're going to go straight over to Erica. We'll take on Lieutenant Surge after we've beaten Misty, and that's just because we're going to be wanting to use Earthquake. Earthquake's going to give us our best chance to get through Lieutenant Surge, however we need Ice Punch for Erica, so it makes sense to me to take on Surge on our second pass through of Vermilion City. And with that, we are ready for our Cantonian chat. If you want to skip ahead to the blue fight, it's going to be happening in around about 16 minutes and 5 seconds. For everybody else who's sticking with me, let's now sit back, relax and have our first Cantonian chat of the year. And in this one we're going to talk about the plans for the first season of content here in 2025. And I think the first thing to do is look back at what we did in 2024 over the 2 seasons we had, and just reflect on what worked and what needed some changes. And I think the first thing to note is the shift in energy in the voiceovers for this season. I got very over the top and very sports commentary in the last season, and honestly I'm not a big fan of it looking back now. I think it took away a little bit of the personality of the channel, and that means this video here is our last rapid fire edit of Crystal. From our next Crystal video together, we're going back to the more relaxed, slow-paced adventure-style videos, as opposed to treating them like a sporting event like we have done over the last 6 months or so. That's going to be something that I think a lot of you will enjoy and a lot of you will appreciate, and it's definitely something I'm looking forward to. I've got some storylines bubbling up already. But as a result of that, we are chopping and changing some of the series we have here on the channel. The End of the Line has reached the end of the line for now. That series is planned to be back in summer, so it's going to be Season 3 of 2025, and we're also giving Generation 3 a break for this particular season of content. So they will be back in spring, and that was a bit of a last-minute decision. I was originally going to go to weekly Generation 3 content for this season. Fire Red and Emerald are the two series here on the channel which take the most time, energy and effort. And with us going to longer form Crystal videos again, I need that little bit of mental breathing room in order to keep the energy up and keep the editing cycle going. Because I've got to be honest, editing is my least favourite part of doing any videos. It really can just get very tedious and very boring. However, I changed a few techniques with my editing, and that should mean that the longer form Crystal videos are going to be much more sustainable. And that brings us on to the new series we've got for Season 1 in 2025. We've got the Yellow Generational Gap, where we're running through all the Gen 2 Pokemon we did in Crystal, and we're doing them in order in Yellow instead. The aim of that series is to see just how much better or worse the Pokemon fare in a much different setting to Generation 2. We've got this series where we're running the middle stage Pokemon. This is the one that's been set in stone for this season for a very long time. And we're also going to be continuing the Nuzlocke series. The Nuzlocke series is going to be the longest form content on the channel. The aim is around about 50 minutes to an hour for each of those videos. The Crystal Challenge run should be anywhere between about 25 to 35 minutes. And then the yellow videos are going to be our short form videos for this season. And they're probably going to be anywhere between about 18 to 25 minutes long. But let's now rejoin the action here at Blue. Blue is of course a mixed type specialist who leads with Pidgeot, and the plan's going to be exactly the same as we've seen throughout the course of this challenge. We're going to start off with a belly drum and then we're going to sweep with return. We do have Surf for the ride-on, but everything else shouldn't withstand a single return. And this is one of those times where critical hits are actually going to be working against us. We don't need to crit in order to knock out, so those extra text boxes are actually wasting a teeny tiny amount of time. We've only got one Pokemon left to go here at Blue now. It's going to be the Rhydon. We'll swap to Surf. We don't mind about the super effective text. And that's Blue all defeated in a time of 1 hour, 12 minutes and 23 seconds. And now with all of our gym badges acquired, there's only one thing left to do. It's time to take on Red, and unlike with Poliwrath and Politoed, we have a lot more base speed, and that means we're going to have a better time against Red than we did with either of those two Pokemon. Pikachu's irrelevant regardless, we outspeed it and we knock it out in one. We'll belly drum against the Venusaur because it's 2 turns for Solar Beam, but we aren't quite strong enough. So we'll use just 3 rare candies to get ourselves up to 66, and we'll try again. We know that we're only battling 5 Pokemon because Pikachu's irrelevant at this point, and we're going to try belly drumming again. And this time return does one-shot. Our speed is now also high enough that we're going to outspeed all of Red's Pokemon. So we can outspeed the Espeon and knock that out in one. Here comes Snorlax. This is the biggest and bulkiest of all of his Pokemon, but Red's AI plays ball. He goes for Amnesia instead of Body Slam, but that knocks it out, and now it's easy streets for the rest of this battle. We're going to take negligible damage from Surf on Blastoise. Out comes Charizard, we'll use Return. It's going to be a one-shot with a critical hit, and that is Red defeated in 1 hour, 14 minutes and 56 seconds. And that is a very, very good time. In fact, if this was a main series challenge, we'd be 3rd on the leaderboard, so Poliwhirl can be very proud of itself. But with that, we are done. So I really hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, make sure to leave a like. If you've got any comments, especially to do with the plans for this season, leave them in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more just like this. And until next time when we're running Ursaring in Yellow, I'll say thank you all so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always, and I'll see you all very, very soon.